Hi, welcome back. My name is Luke. Today we are going to talk about pronunciation. You probably know what pronunciation means, but just in case, I'm going to tell you anyway. Pronunciation is the sound, the correct sound of a word. So how you speak a word correctly. You can't always follow the spelling or how to write the word because sometimes it doesn't quite work. There are exceptions. For example, F-O-O-D, food, and B-O-O-K. Both of these words have O-O, but the pronunciation is not the same. Book, food, one sound is and one sound is oo. So pronunciation and spelling don't always match. There are exceptions. So sometimes you just need to remember how it sounds using your ear. Okay, so you need to also practice your ear to be a good speaker. So today we're going to talk about some examples of pronunciation, and we're also going to talk about some rules of pronunciation. Okay, so let's start with some rules. The first I want to talk about is the ed verb rule. The ed verb rule. Now, usually, or for many cases, a verb which is in the past tense ends in ed. Not always, not every verb that is in the past ends in ed, but many verbs end in ed when they are in the past. And there are some pronunciation rules about this, so that when you look at the word, you can know how to say it correctly almost every time. Okay? So the rule is, there are 3 different kinds of ed verbs. Voiced, unvoiced, and d or t. Okay, you can't understand that now, maybe. Let me give you some examples. If the last sound of the word, the verb, before ed uses your throat, this part of your throat, to make a sound, then the ed will sound like this, d, at the end. So for example, L-O-V-E-D. When I say V, I need to use my throat, right? Love, love. I use my throat. So it is called a voiced word. I used my throat. It is called a voiced word. So when I say it, I need to say d at the end. Loved, loved, loved. So I use my voice, so I say d. Here's another example. Hummed, hummed. Hum means hummed. I use my throat, so it is voiced, so at the end is d. Hummed, d sound. Carried, carried. It is also voiced, and so that sound at the end is d. Carried, carried. The next one is unvoiced. Unvoiced, that means you don't use your throat to make a sound. You use only your mouth to make a sound. Like f and th and s and k and ch. You don't use your throat. Okay? So for example, when I said voiced, I didn't say voiced, I said voiced. It sounds like a T. So if you say a word that is not voiced, a verb that ends in ed, and you don't use this, the last sound will be t, not d. Sounds like a T. Voiced, voiced. Because I don't use this. S. I only use my mouth. Here's some other examples. Clipped, clipped. P. The sound is here, not here. Clipped. Remember, it's only the last sound. Clipped. Okay? Clipped means you cut something. You cut something. Okay? Wished. Wished. Shh. Again, only here, not here. Clicked. Clicked. To click something. Only here, not here. So again, unvoiced. Unvoiced. Unvoiced verbs in the past with ed have a t sound. Okay, the last one is d or t. These are special. If the verb, the normal verb, ends with a d or ends with a t, then the ed sound will be id, a very strong id sound, like this. Waited. Waited. Now I know that wait is unvoiced, but it's a special one because it's d or t. It's a special situation. So waited, tid, very strong sound. Tid, waited. Mended, mended. Mended means to fix something. Again, did is a very strong sound. Created, created. So T-E-D sounds like T-I-D. It's a very strong id, like I-D sound. So remember these three. When you see a verb, is it voiced at the end, unvoiced, or D or T? If it's voiced, unvoiced, or D or T, you need to know which way to say it right away. So you can use this rule that I just taught you to do that. Try this. Practice looking at words you don't know very well and practice pronouncing them with ed at the end. Okay? And this can get you used to using this rule very, very quickly. All right, let's talk about the next thing. The next is syllable stress. First, let me tell you what a syllable is. A syllable is a beat in a word. A beat in a word. In Chinese characters, each character is one beat, one syllable. But in English, we don't have characters, we have letters. And the letters make words. But inside the words, you also have syllables, or dung, 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 dung. And you have to listen for those. That's how you know how many syllables, and count them. So for example, basketball, basketball, 3 syllables. Football, football. Usually, usually, 4 syllables, 4 syllables. Sometimes it can be a long word, but only be 1 syllable, right? Like real, real is 1 syllable, 4 letters, real, real. Or my name, L-U-K-E, Luke, Luke is only 1 syllable, but 4 letters. So don't look at how many letters, you need to listen for syllables. All right, so that's a syllable. Stress or emphasis is what part of the word, when you pronounce it, is strong and what part is weak. What is strong and what is weak? Okay, so if you have a 2-syllable noun, a noun, and the noun has 2 syllables, so like football. Football is a noun and 2 syllables. Usually, if it is a 2-syllable noun, the first syllable of the word will be emphasized or stressed or stronger. Not football, but football. Football. The first part is stronger than the second part. Here's another example. Present. Present. I give you a present. 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 Pencil. Pencil. Export. Export. China. China is a noun. Not China, but China. China, the first part. Apple. Apple. So, I want you to do this. Find some 2-syllable nouns or think of some 2-syllable nouns and practice speaking those. Practice pronouncing those. Okay? It's a good way to help you to quickly see, first, how many syllables and how to say it correctly. All right. Also, usually, two-syllable adjectives are also pronounced the same way. So, for example, yellow, yellow. So two syllables at the beginning, ye and then lo, yellow. And happy, happy. The first syllable is pronounced stronger. But if it is a verb, usually it is the other way. Usually the second syllable will be stressed, or the second syllable will be emphasized. Okay? So, for example, present. Now, present, I said, the noun, is spelled the same as the verb present, but it's spoken a different way. You can have two words spelled the same way with two different meanings and two different pronunciations. Present means a gift you give someone, but present means to give a presentation, to say something to a group of people. Present. And the reason you say them differently is because you need to know which word you mean. So you have to have some different pronunciation so people can understand you. So again, verbs with two syllables, you say the second one stronger than the first. So here's another example. Recite. Recite. This means maybe to read something out loud. Recite. Delay. 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 Again, it's a verb, and the second syllable is stressed. All right, here's a couple more examples of stress and syllable. If the word ends with IC, ick, if the word ends with IC, usually the sound or the syllable before IC will be the one you stress. So, for example, graphic, graphic, or geographic, graphic. Or, for example, geologic, geologic. Geologic is about very old, the history of the earth and stones and rocks. Geologic. So it doesn't matter how many syllables are in this word. It doesn't matter. The point is which one is before IC. Okay? Which one is before IC? If it is a word like S-I-O-N, or ends with, if it is a word that ends with S-I-O-N or T-I-O-N, then it is also important to stress the syllable before that. So, television. Some people say television. It's a special situation. Some people say that. Not every word follows the rule, but usually television, television. Both are okay in that situation. Relation, relation, relation. So le should be stronger. So again, there are exceptions to every rule. Exceptions means sometimes there is a word which breaks the rule. That's because language, like English, Chinese, it's a natural thing. So people often break the rules just because they can. Okay, so usually these rules work. Sometimes people will say it differently, like television and television. People say both. Okay. Compound nouns. A compound word is when you have two complete words. Two complete words. And you put them together to make one word. So, for example, White House. White House is the place where the President of America lives. He lives in the White House. And if you say a compound word like this, compound means two words together, and it is a noun, you need to make the first one stronger. White House, White House. Even if it's 3 syllables, it doesn't matter how many syllables. If it is a compound adjective, then you emphasize the second part, left-handed, left-handed. Okay? So you want to put stress on not the first word, on the second word. Another important part about speaking English with a fluency is putting words together so that they sound smooth and natural together. Okay? So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how to do that. If you have a word that ends with one letter and begins with the same letter, usually we put those two words together. So for example, want to, not want to, no. Want to, put them together. Had to. Sometimes if the word is, or if the letter or the sound is almost the same, we also put them together. Had to, D and T are not the same, right? But it sounds almost the same, so we can put the two sounds together. Had to. My year. This is my year. Not my ear. My ear is different. My year. So if somebody says, this is my year, it means this is a good year for me. My year. If somebody wants to talk about this, they would say, my ear. And they would pause, and they wouldn't put them together. My ear, my year. Okay? Your ring. Again, your and ring. Sometimes many small words like an or the, sometimes get, are almost not pronounced, or you say them very, very quickly, just to make the sentence sound very smooth. So instead of saying an apple or the wind, say an apple, the wind, the. Instead of saying the, I said the. Very small sound, the wind, an apple, the wind. So usually in a sentence, these small words are almost not said, but you do need to say them. Just make them very short. Get out. So I put get and out together, and I make get very, very small. Get out. Okay, one way you can practice is to make sentences of your own. When you learn a new word, put the word in some new sentences, different sentences, in different ways, so that you really understand how to use the word. And then speak those sentences so that you can really understand how that word fits in the sentence and how it can sound natural in the sentence. So for example, maybe I learned the word elevator. An elevator is what you use to go upstairs in a building, a lift. So now I'm going to make some sentences, and I'm going to practice speaking those words in the sentence. Here we go. I took the elevator up to the 15th floor. I took the elevator up to the 15th floor. Notice I didn't say the elevator. I said the elevator, or the elevator. So I put them together, and it sounds very smooth. And I can practice using this new word. Okay, so here's another example. I was on an elevator yesterday, and it got stuck. I'll read it slowly. I was on an elevator yesterday, and it got stuck. That means it stopped moving. But if I want to speak this naturally, I want to put these sounds together. I was on an elevator. I was on an elevator. It sounds very smooth. I was on an elevator yesterday, and it got stuck. So natural English sentences have a flow, are very smooth. If you read the sentence, not very smoothly, then you won't sound natural. So try to put these words together. Try to make them sound more smooth. Okay? Here's the last example. Elevators make me nervous. I'd rather take the stairs. So I'll read it slowly now. Elevators make me nervous. I would rather take the stairs. But that's not natural. I'm reading that slowly so you can understand easily. To read it naturally would be, elevators make me nervous. Elevators make me nervous. And then stop. I'd rather take the stairs. So when you make sentences, again, remember how the sentences fit together, when to stop, and how to put the words together so that the whole sentence sounds very natural. All right, the last thing I want to do for the pronunciation talk today is to give you something to read. I'm going to read this for you. If you do not understand this short section of reading, it's okay. It's from a book, an old book, so I don't really care if you can understand or not. It's not very easy. I care more if you can speak it clearly and naturally so that it sounds as good as when I read it. Okay? So I'm going to read this one time, and then I would like you to also read this several times to yourself so that you can speak it very, very clearly and very smoothly. Okay? So just practice reading this short section over and over. Here we go. There, peeping among the cloud rack above a dark tor, high up in the mountains, Sam saw a white star twinkle for a while. The beauty of it smote his heart as he looked up out of the forsaken land, and hope returned to him. For like a shaft, clear and cold, the thought pierced him that in the end the shadow was only a small and passing thing. There was a light and high beauty forever beyond its reach. Okay, so practice this, read it a few times, try to get it smooth and natural, work on your fluency. Practice when you learn new words, putting them in sentences, different kinds of sentences, and reading those sentences out loud. Use your phone to record yourself and listen to yourself. Think about what pronunciation mistakes you're making. Also, use the rules I taught you about stress and the rule about ed at the end of a verb. Okay? So I'll see you next time.